welcome to episode 27 of Trusalus Holistic Injury Recovery and Performance Education Online. This is Dr. Jen. So glad you guys are still with us. Episode 27, we're almost to the end, and this is part one of a two-part video series that I put together for you guys that addresses spinal hygiene and core stability. So spinal hygiene is a term I like to use to kind of just talk about how we can have our daily maintenance of our spine, of our nervous system, and our joints that connect with all of it. So these are kind of some movements that are designed around that philosophy of quote unquote cleaning your spine every day. So this use of breath work that I'm going to do for the first part of this video, combined with the core stability training at the end of the video, is a great way to just have that daily maintenance of your spine to make sure that you can go out and do the things you want to do to be healthy athletes and healthy members of our society. So we're going to start in a seated position. So you can go ahead and find yourself seated. Our legs can be crossed. If you're more comfortable sitting up on a block or up on a pillow, I'm demonstrating what it might look like to elevate the pelvis here. And go ahead and just make yourself comfortable. We're going to be here just for a few moments as we learn to breathe with a straight spine. So again, I want you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. If this is too difficult, you can just breathe out through the mouth as well and try to incorporate maybe every other breath you try just through the nose. If you want to play with some hand mudras or hand styles, you can do palms facing down, palms facing up. Palms down will give you a nice grounded feeling, so if you're running all over the place, this may serve you better. If you're looking to get your energy up and receive the lessons of the day, maybe palms up. So next, I'd like everyone to go ahead and just lay back on your back, and if you've got a block or a book or a pillow, put it on your belly. From here, I just want you to see what it's like to see the rise and fall of your abdomen as you inhale and exhale, noticing the diaphragm, which is kind of right in the center at the solar plexus, just below the xiphoid process. You'll feel this kind of rise and fall. And then I want you to clasp your hands on top of whatever's on your belly and pull it in. So as you inhale now, you're pushing against this object. And as you exhale, I want you to push down and maintain this kind of core activation. So now push the block away and then keep the block pushed, but pull it into you. And notice how just kind of in the squishy part of your belly, it falls in, but up top around your rib cage, it still stays out and activated. You can lose the block and try this same activation with your hands holding the rib cage. You can also sit up and try this same activation. So the hands are gonna reach around to the rib cage. I'm gonna inhale, keep that space. Exhale, again, maintain that space as I'm drawing the diaphragm up and into my lungs on the exhale. And repeat this. This is a new type of breathing activation. This really works the diaphragm, which is this big umbrella muscle that sits on top of your core. Most people don't address the diaphragm. Many of you may have addressed it through what's called crocodile breathing in the PT world. This is where you lay on your belly and try to create this same resistance. But here I want to teach you all to build your own resistance, your own core activation. And then as we move through today, I want you to revisit what it's like to maintain this umbrella feeling. In through the nose, maybe out through the mouth with the breath, in through the nose, maybe out through the nose. But mainly we're maintaining that core expansion through the rib cage. This is a really hard concept for a lot of athletes to grasp, and yogis, everyone alike. Another way you can get into it is one hand on the front of the belly, one hand on the back, and feeling that expansion front to back. You'll definitely feel a little more expansion in the front than you will in the back, but I want you to feel those lungs expanding down. If you have a little trouble, you can reach the arms out to the side, letting the heart open up, the back bend slightly, and then exhale, roll the heart back into the shoulder blades. You can kind of go back and forth, again, moving the spine, hygienically warming up and pumping each disc of the vertebra in between, bringing fresh nutrients and blood to the area, which is only going to clean out the old and bring in the good. So next I want everyone to find their way onto hands and knees. Hands are going to be directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips. Toes can be curled or not curled, whatever brings you comfort. And try to get that same breath activation going here. So So inhaling and exhaling, maintaining that space in the rib cage. And then add a gentle neck extension on an inhale, and on an exhale, drop the chin. Notice how just extending the neck, I'm not pushing through my back or pushing through my low back. I'm just letting my neck move my entire spine. So really explore that motion. Inhaling, feeling the release all the way down to your sacrum or your tailbone. So again, I'm not dumping into the mid-back like I'm demonstrating now or pushing up through the back. Instead, I'm letting, I want to neutralize my spine instead of putting all that motion into it. Lift the head, extend the neck, flex the neck. And this moves my whole spine. And if you don't feel it all the way down to your tailbone, it takes a lot of core stability to really get that sensation going. So maybe take a little longer, take some time, pause the video, and you can move yourself around at any point if it gets uncomfortable. This is, again, just a little warm up for the spine. And we're continuing to strengthen the breath and the diaphragm. And you can take a child's pose here. We're just going to take a rest before we get started with our core workout. I'm demonstrating here. If child's pose is uncomfortable, you can prop your hips up on a pillow or on a yoga block, and that really brings a lot of ease and allows you to get a little deeper into the good, juicy parts of child's pose. So just take a few more breaths here. The more you breathe, the more you expand, the more you're activating that core stability within you, the diaphragm, and all the coordinating muscles. From child's pose, let's all take a breath in and come back up. We're going to do one more little warm up for our thoracic spine by rotating open with the right hand behind the head. I'm finding kind of a neutral checkpoint there with my arm parallel to the ground, and I'm just passing back through that neutral position each time to minimize any contortion or rotation that's happening in my hips or shoulders. So left hand, same thing, dropping the elbow down, lifting the elbow up. Really just explore what it's like to rotate just through the thoracic. Try to take the rotation out of your lumbar spine if you can. Just go through the rib cage and shoulders here. Couple more, and then hands back. So now we're going to start with our first core exercise. Little bird dog is what it's called. So we are going to be on all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and we reach the left foot back. The right hand reaches forward. Maybe you float the left foot, or I have demonstrated a modified version where you keep the left foot down, and then you bring elbow in to meet the knee underneath of you. While you're doing this, it's important to keep a neutral spine, so a nice flat back, as if you're balancing a bowling ball back there, or maybe just a bowl of water that you don't want to dump the water over. Something that helps you activate that core, expand the diaphragm, and then extend those limbs outward. So now we're going to switch sides, and we'll try that same activation with the other side. So again, we start on all fours, hands and knees, and we'll reach the right foot back, the left hand forward, maybe elevate the right leg. Either way, we pull the knee and elbow in to meet and reach out. While we are dynamically moving our extremities, we have proximal stability in our core, and this allows us to have a lot more strength and coordination as we go through this kind of complex, dynamic, upper, lower body, side to side cross pattern here. And take a rest. We're going to switch sides and do another round. So same thing, we'll start with the left leg back, right arm reaches forward, and bring the knee in to meet the elbow and out. And check back in with your breath. All that breath work we did in the beginning. How are you breathing right now? Do you know where your diaphragm is? Do you need to go back and watch it over? Just check back in with yourself. See if you are staying in integrity with your purpose today, which is to take care of your spine. And reach the arms all the way out and float everything back down. We're getting ready to switch sides. So this will be our last round with this exercise. Right foot kicks back, left hand reaches up. Elevate that leg if it feels good. Just make sure you're not dumping in the spine when you do that. Nice straight line all the way from the heel to the hand. Power through that back leg as if you're pushing a big box behind you back on the floor. Couple more, keep breathing, activate that diaphragm, all the way out, extend. And then let's float the hands and feet all the way down into a child's pose. If you get into child's pose and it's not your favorite pose, I showed you how to kind of modify lifting the hips. And let's go ahead and rock back up, and we'll get back on our backside for our second core activity, which is going to be a dead bug exercise, which is a very base level foundational core strengthening exercise. So you're going to start flat on your back, lifting up the knees, lift up one at a time. Toes can be pointed or you can flex the feet as long as the feet are active. That's really what's most important here. And I want you to plug the rib cage back down into the mat, because the minute you lift those legs, your psoas may recruit the lumbar spine because it's a little tired. But we're gonna pull that core in, down into the mat, and extend the right leg straight, and then the left leg. I like to extend my legs at a 45-degree angle so I don't strain my spine. If you want a little more, you can slowly decrease that angle towards the ground with the legs. The arms opposing, again, we're kind of doing the reverse of what we just did, but we're on our back sides now. Power all the way through, and we're going through 30 seconds. We're over halfway there. Keep breathing. Plug that belly button down into the mat so your rib cage is pressing back behind you. Release the neck and release everything down. Take a breath. Get ready for the next round. Feet up, arms up, and extend. Left leg, right arm, bring it back. Left arm, right leg, bring it back. Switch, and back. Plug that belly button into the mat behind you. If you keep noticing your back and rib cage lifting off the mat, maybe don't extend your arms and legs as far away from your center. Maybe just a little extension. And go ahead and take a rest. Give yourself a big hug, rock side to side. And we're ready for our third round. Go ahead and get the knees in position up above, the arms up above. If you're getting tired, you can check out the modifications I've made for you, just touching the heel down instead of a straight leg. Maybe you just keep the arms stationary. And we're gonna do what we did before, kind of exploring upper body, lower body, and then we'll do a set of cross patterns together. So go ahead and extend right leg, left arm, and right arm, left leg. Switch that one more time each side. And that is our 30 seconds. Go ahead and rest the feet down. Give yourself a little break. And we're going on to our third core exercise. So this one's kind of a little bit of a variation of our dead bug exercise that we just did, but I want you to grab a block or a book or something lightweight, maybe a water bottle. I like to use the medium setting on my block, and I like to plug my belly down into the mat just like before. I'm plugging my forearm up against the block, pinning the block between my knees and my forearm. If you want a little more distance, you can turn the block long ways. If you want a little more core activation, you can turn it to the smallest setting, but I'm going to demonstrate on the medium setting. So I'm actively pulling my knees into the block and pushing my forearms into the block. And then I'm going to extend same side leg and arm away, pinning the block between my other arm and leg. So before we did the cross pattern, now this is same side. Same problems with this move. The belly's going to want to lift off the ground, the back's going to want to arch. So do everything you can to kind of take responsibility for that good posture during your 30 seconds here. Check back in with that diaphragm. Are you breathing? Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, activate that core on the exhale, and rest the block up above you. So we're going to do that again. We've got 3 rounds total. And when you're ready, get in position, bending the knees. You're going to pin the block your favorite way. And extend same side, leg and arm. If it's too much, you can just extend the arm, and you're still getting a lot of that core activation here as we're contracting all of those anterior core muscles just with the simple pinning of the block between the leg and arm. Continue that each side, just like before. If you want a little more intensity, you can lower the leg a little closer to the ground. Just make sure the low back doesn't lift off. Few more. Take a nice big breath in. You're almost to the end. There it is, and rest. Round 3, third and final round. Get prepped, get ready, get your block or your book in order, and extend same side, leg and arm. back to meet the block, opposite arm and leg. Continue this side to side, really checking in with that straight spine. Is your spine neutral? Is it relaxed? Are you forcing it into the mat, or do you feel active and stable as your limbs are dynamically moving around, challenging your core in different ways? And if you want a little more coordination challenge, you can check back in with that breath and the diaphragm, see what's going on there. Go ahead and take your block, rest it up above you. We won't need it for core exercise number 4. So go ahead and sit up on your rear ends with your palms pressing down kind of to the corners of your hips if your hips had corners. From here, I'm pressing into the mat. I'm extending my neck back and then flexing my neck all the way forward, taking a round of breaths here. Pulling my toes up towards my body so my legs are nice and active. I'm getting ready for a reverse plank. So what I'll be doing is lifting my hips up, arching my back and dropping my head back into extension. So I've got 2 variations here for you. We're holding for 15 seconds. You can either have the legs fully extended or you can bend the knees in a modified reverse plank. So just 15 seconds and then rock the hips back down. We're gonna go into our version of a forward fold, reaching for the feet or the toes, but a straight back. If you're rounding over, hunching the back, come back out of it. Not as important to get close to the legs as it is to have a straight spine as you play with those hamstrings being toned up in the back. So here, just breathe 15 seconds. Pull the toes up, point the toes away, see what kind of changes you can make in your own body and your own stretch. And rest. We're getting ready for round 2 of the reverse plank. So get those hands back at the corners of the hips, pressing the palms down into the mat. You can bend the knees, lifting the hips, or keep the legs straight with pointed toes. You can also try another variation of just doing a couple dips, so exploring the modified reverse plank and then dropping the hips back down. If it's too intense on the shoulders for you, this would be a good modification. Everybody float the hips down to the mat and we'll go to our version of a forward fold with a flat spine. Toes can be pointed, toes can be flexed. As long as they're active, I think that's really what's most important. We could argue all day about which one's better, but I think toned chains, whether it's anterior or posterior, is a good chain. Round 3. Same thing, get ready, get set up, hands go back to the corners of the hips. We lift the hips, drop the head back. The more you drop the head back, the more you're going to notice that openness through the front of the chest and shoulders. So let the neck flex and the neck extend, especially if you're dropping the hips up and down, doing those modified versions. And exhale, float the hips down, last forward fold, 15 seconds here. Toes can be pointed, toes can be flexed, as long as they're active. Take a nice deep breath into that diaphragm. Wake back up if it's gone out to lunch. Core number 5. For this one, I want you to get up on your knees. You can also do this standing if on your knees is uncomfortable. But I'm going to demonstrate on my knees, and I'm just sliding my hands down the side seam of my pants. And as I'm coming back up, I'm engaging my glutes, kind of like as if I was doing a kettlebell swing front and back or side to side. I'm engaging those glutes to really activate that lift back up. What I don't want you to do is what I'm demonstrating up in the corner of the screen here, is pushing the hips way out to the side, off balance. This is less of a stretch and more of a stability exercise. If you want a little more intensity, you can have both hands behind the head, or you can drop the hand down to the side as you dip to that side. Either way, 30 seconds, we're going side to side with kind of that glute snap back up. Keep breathing, keep breathing. The arms are elevated, which lifts the rib cage up a bit, but let's not let that bring the breath up into the top of the lungs. Still take those nice, strong diaphragmatic breaths. Couple more dips to each side, and that's our 30 seconds. Take a rest. Get ready for round 2. Same thing, we're doing 3 rounds total. Both hands can be behind the head, or you can drop same side hand down as you dip side to side. What's really important too is, again, we're letting go of the stretch aspect of this posture and really engaging the activation of those side and lateral stabilizing muscles to lift us back up. So it's less of the stretching those long muscles and more of a engaging those muscles, like a bicep curl, but along our entire lateral chain of the torso. Take a rest. We're getting ready for round 3. Shake the arms out. And last one, dips to each side. If you want a little more, you could grab something lightweight like a water bottle or a can of food, something like that, and you can just have arms down to your side and do these dips side to side. This is another great way to kind of tone up those obliques. Swimsuit season's around the corner. That might be a great little addition to your 3rd round. Keep going, keep going. We are almost there. Couple more moments. And you have made it. 30 seconds. Great work. Proud of you guys for sticking with the series. We are 27 episodes in. We miss you guys. Our studio is just not the same without you, but I want you guys to stay tuned. Keep up the good work at home, and we have got some exciting things coming for you in the near future here at Trusalus, both online in place of our studio, and we hope you guys are enjoying our free series that we've made for you all. Take care, and hope you guys stay tuned for my part 2 core stability video coming out tomorrow.